It's time for Washington Shellfish Quest. This episode, Dungeness Crab, part 1 of 3.
Hey Washington Shellfish Questers, Blake here. Well, this is the first time I think I've ever made it for an opening of crab season in Puget Sound. It's July 2nd, I'm here in northern Hood Canal, and I hope this to be the first of 3. So I want to do one about how I usually go, which is ring pots, and then I want to do one casting from shore, and then I'd really like to do one where I snorkel for them. And I don't know anything about that, but hopefully my buddy Jim will take me out, and we can figure that out. So right now I'm just on my little 9-foot skiff. See, I got my trolling motor there, the Minn Kota. I do have a little 4-horse that I can put on here, and moves it along really well, but if I can get away with the trolling motor, I will. And so I am by this little park launch here, kind of not too far south of the Hood Canal Bridge, because the north part of Hood Canal is open, but the south part is not. Some people asked on the Resident Coho video what the topography software I was using is. It's called Navionics. It's great for if you don't have a depth sounder and you're in Puget Sound. I don't know that it does great on smaller lakes and things of that nature, but if you are looking for structure, so for instance, with Dungeness Crab, I will always start looking for a sandy beach. You can get them deep, but I'll usually start shallow, especially early in the season. So this software, this little Navionics software here, will tell me, especially in something like Hood Canal, which is a giant fjord, where there's some little beaches to target versus where there's, it's 300 feet deep. So that's a really big help if you don't have a depth finder. All right, so as far as my tips for catching Dungeness crab, I'm already failing on the first one, which is bring a friend, because everybody gets to have 2 pots. I like to use ring pots, and I'll tell you why. So unless I'm doing an overnight soak, which in that case, yes, a big expensive pot is the way to go. I've used a lot of those scootware boxes, even on this channel, the kind of cheaper square box traps. I think these traps are still effective, but I've also had friends of mine who scuba dive tell me, I know we think of crabs as just voracious scavengers, but sometimes they'll walk right up to one and they're just not in the mood, versus sometimes they'll walk up to a ring pot, and since it's just like the ground, they'll just go look at the bait even if they're not that hungry. So there is I think you will do better as far as your success rate if you have no barriers to entry, if you're going to use a pot that doesn't really prevent exiting. Now if you insist on the square pots, I don't blame you. Like I say, I still got a few. I have modified mine. I just put a little chicken wire inside there and to keep the door from swinging out, and also put some weight on the door so it swings back down. All right, for bait, I got a shad, which I'm going to take a fillet knife and just slice up here to get the scents going. And I got a bag. This is a I think this is a pink. I do love using salmon carcasses. My favorite things to use for bait are salmon carcasses and clam guts. I think gooey duck specifically, but really whatever clams are prevalent in the area, horse clams, razor clams, whatever those crab are fixing to eat naturally. All right, I'm getting ready to throw this pot. I'm going to state that my goal, I would just be tickled pink if I could get 3 Dungeness crab today. The limit in Puget Sound is 5 Dungeness, 6.25 inches across the shell. And you use these as a measurer. I really suggest getting a metal one. I know the plastic ones are super cheap, but I have cracked so many of those in half over the years. And you can see there is 3 1/4, which is Columbia River in Washington State, 6, which is the ocean, and then 6 1/4, which is Puget Sound. This would be a bad idea if there's any seal activity in the area. I'm not seeing any though. I'm just putting some slices in this, both so the crab can get their mitts in there, and also just to spread the scent. Oh yeah, look at that. All right, here we go. First crab ring of 2020. Because I'm not using leaded line, I'm using a floating line. You have to clip a weight on there just to make sure that no boats run over it. And probably can't tell, but I draw a starfish on my flag there, just a way for me to distinguish it from other crabbers. Well, I don't know if you can see from my camera, but it's really getting hammered right out in the middle of Hood Canal. The second pot I'm going to drop is going to be in about 20 feet of water. It's kind of like when they go low, you go high type of mentality. Well, when they go deep, I go shallow. That didn't sound as good. All right, both pots are out. Now we wait. With these ring pots, I only give them about 40 minutes. I don't let them soak too long because crabs can come and go. The benefit of the ring pot is just the barrier to entry, that they can just come freely. So, I mean, you could put them down, they could be crabbing there in 5 minutes, you don't know. All right, it's been 40 minutes. I'm approaching my first ring to pull. I'm so excited. One thing I forgot to mention that's pretty important is I do go around the tide changes. Doesn't matter if it's high or low, but if it's a big exchange like it was today, those crab will hunker down in the middle of that exchange. So you want to kind of go when the water's a bit more placid. All right, so I like to be right in the top of a ring too when I pull it. So what I'm going to do, because it's so nice out, is I see the way the line's moving. I'm just going to move the boat and slowly pull up the line as I go. Then right when I'm over the top, I'll rip it right up. And if it looks heavy, I forgot to mention this, but you may have observed it, I do weigh down my pot, so I think there's 5 pounds of barbells in this. And this is in a very protected area. If I was deep, I would have a lot more weight. Oh, let's see here. Well, plenty of red rocks, but no Dungeness. Yeah, not even that nice red, but they're keepers. You know, I got a hankering for crab. And when you put them back, and sometimes I'm guilty of this too, you know, no need to be a jerk, especially to a lady. You can tell by her wider abdomen there. Just let them down, real nice and gentle-like. And here's a male. Same thing with Dungeness, by the way, where it's more pyramid shape, and that's how I can tell if they're male or female. Uh-oh. I think there might have been a seal. Luckily, I did get my other bait cage. Look at that. That's totally gone. Oh, it's dug out, though, too. I mean, maybe crabs ran off with it. Luckily, I got a cam in this one, so I'll be able to see.
All right, here it goes. Oh, I hope that's a male. There's a nice dungy in there if it is a male indeed. Very barnacle guy. Hopefully a guy. Ta-da! It is a male. And he's not the most pretty dungy in the world, but he is certainly a keeper. All right, so let's see here. We got, yep, well over keeper. You're supposed to measure him inside this kind of back point here to this point. And as you can see, it is well over 6 1/4. It's probably about, a little over 6 1/2. So not a monster, but a first keeper of the year. All right, since there was a dungeons in that one keeper and 3 or 4 that were too small, I'm gonna put that right back where it was. Couple more reds. It's really slowed down. I think this is the 7th pull, and I still stand at 1 dungy and 3 red rock. Heaviest pot I've felt in a little while. Oh, it's full of kelp. That'll do it. Oh, there's a dungy in there. Come on, dungy. Hopefully it's just like unwrapping a gift. Let's see. Oh, that's a huge crab. Holy smokes. That is a monster. Gotta make sure he's in hard shell condition. You can do that by pressing their leg. It is. I believe it's a male, but let's just verify. Oh, it is. Look at that. Well, no more dungies, but that is a Mondo red there. Oh, that is a Mondo. I will keep that red. Just as a, to get another shellfish fact in here, this is actually a Pacific graceful crab. You can tell by kind of its rounded edges there. You see how it's not so pointy on the top. It also is, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if you call it pink or light purple, but it's kind of different coloration too. But this is actually a Mondo Pacific graceful crab. I just put on a canister of basically old eggs as he's either going to use for salmon fishing or shad roe that I didn't get to use, so I just figure why the heck not. Last pull. Oh. Whoa. So yeah, I did my goal of getting 3 Dungeness, but holy smokes, these are the most barnacle covered Dungeness crab I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I've seen reds like this, but holy smokes, look at this barnacle bill down here. It reminds me when I was a teenager and all broke out. What a great day. You know, I hit the opener. Like I said, I think this is probably the first summer opener I may have ever hit. You know, there were some boats out, but it wasn't too bad. I got my goal, a 3 Dungeness crab. However, they were all quite barnacly. You might think I'm only capable of catching ugly crab. Therefore, here's some bonus content of when Russell and I were at Fort Flagler last year and we did overnight soaks. Well, one overnight soak with 1 pot for some dungies, and they were beauts. So here you go. So there's pros and cons of any of the way to get crab. With a pot, some of the pros are once they get in, it's really hard for them to get out if it's an actually well-constructed pot. Another pro is if you're out fishing, or in this case, you're out with your 5-year-old camping and you just want to enjoy the day, you can throw them out there and kind of just forget about them for a while. Con is with those big long soaks, you know, it's recommended to keep an eye on them, not to leave the area too far, which I will be doing, but you know, because they can get stolen. They can either get stolen or tide swept. So I forgot the weights for this guy, so I'm going to be searching for about 10 pounds of rocks to put in there. And then you put on the line to make sure to hold it. Look at that. There's 4 or 5 keepers. That's all I need. Alright, so see you next time on Washington Shellfish Quest.